You're listening to a Hope 1032 podcast.
G'day, welcome to Raising Teens with psychologist and teacher Collett Smart. G'day Collett, how are you?
Hi Ben, I'm well.
Great, I'm Ben, as Collett just said, and if you haven't already, what you should do right now is subscribe to Raising Teens so you can never miss an episode, and also share it with your community so we can help all households everywhere deal with the big and small stuff of raising teens. And today, Collett, we have on the agenda after-school meltdowns for teenagers. Now, my daughters are way younger than teens. They're at the other end of the school spectrum. They're just starting out. And some days after they come home from school, you could describe that as a meltdown that I'm witnessing.
Yes.
But they are younger children, Collett. So this is still a thing as a teenager. I can vaguely remember my teen years, and I guess my mum would describe that as a meltdown. But this still happens.
This is still a thing.
Great. Okay.
So,
Prepare myself. Okay.
and also, like any good psychologist, I'm going to use a good psychological term because
love it.
psychologists love to have terms for everything.
Of course you do.
There's actually something called after-school restraint collapse. Is the fancy word for meltdowns.
Did you just make that up?
I didn't.
That's
There's
awesome. Say
actually
that again.
actually
What's
a
that
term.
called?
After-school restraint collapse.
Excellent. And now I can't wait for you to explain that to me.
Teens, like all children, they save their best and their worst for us as parents. The good thing is that teens are actually their true selves with us. So it's a good thing. Sometimes it cannot feel like a good thing when you're on the receiving end of the meltdown. But really, we need to remember for our kids, it takes a lot of energy to be good and follow the rules all day at school. And when they get home, they just let it all hang out. And if we think sometimes as adults, we expect things of our children that we actually can't even follow through ourselves.
True. That's the least true in my household. For me.
And so as adults, we push ourselves often to not be snarly or crabby people when we, at work. And there might be a serious negative consequence. If we let it all out at work, we'd lose our jobs or be hauled into the manager's office. And so we also put our best faces on at work. Kids are the same. So they would also get sent to the principal's office or, be told that they can't do certain things at school if they just let what they show at home, they let it all out at school, and they know that. If we also think about how many times during the day do we sometimes wish we could just tell someone off or have a cry and go off to the bathroom at work.
Just a few times, Collett. Only a handful.
I know.
A handful. But so teens just go in for the restraint collapse
Yeah,
then?
so we don't do that. And so we are good to keep the peace at work. And so, but when our kids come back, when they come from school, I often call it the time when the bubble bursts. So there's a big bubble that needs to burst, and sometimes it's tears, sometimes it's not tears. Sometimes it's grumpiness or lashing out at our siblings or lashing out at our pets or actually just internalizing and becoming quiet and silent or sullen. We sometimes need to recognize that our teenagers need time to decompress after keeping it together all day.
Like to give them a few minutes when they get home. Don't just do that thing of, how was your day, as soon as they get in the car and walk in the door?
I'm so glad you said that because we actually need to realize sometimes our young people need that space. Even my husband has said to me when he's come back from work, he's actually quite an extrovert and he likes to chat and talk, but he needs time to just decompress for a little while before all of what has happened in his day comes out. And so I think one of the first things we need to do is not always mirror our children's emotions, because we often do that as parents. We often go in with the anger if they're angry, or we pull away when they pull away. Sometimes we actually just need to reconnect with them, even silently. So we need to let our face light up. So show our children with a hug or a smile. But if our children don't want hugs, I've got one of my children who's not a huggy child, we actually just let our face light up and show how excited we are to see them. And let them just sit in the car in silence if you pick them up by car. If they've come off the bus, let them just listen to music, no chit-chat, no noise at home, kind of take their lead. Let them refuel. Give them food. Give them a snack. Give them a drink of water. Allow that space. Provide them time to just do nothing or rest or play in a physical way. Physical activity is such an important part of decompression. My youngest, who's actually an extrovert, is actually a very chatty child usually. He chats while he jogs with me.
Does he?
I don't know how he does
I wish I could do that.
But when he comes home, he also needs some space.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to talk about his day. And so even on my children's routines when they've come from school in the past, I've had physical activity. So for my teenager, I say to him, get outside, shoot hoops, do something with the dog, do something physical. I don't actually make him go and do homework immediately either. Give your children a break after school to have that decompression time, burn some energy. They're burning mental energy as well when they're doing that. Some of your children might actually need to get rid of their energy by hammering out on an instrument. That might be your child's way of getting rid of some of that mental energy. Some of our children might actually need to just sit quietly, sit on their beds. But at some point in the afternoon, I do think some kind of physical activity is important.
These are really helpful ways for parents to handle the after-school meltdown, and they're also at the same time helping a teen handle them. But how do you as your parent help your teen handle them? By trying to explain or at least discuss the fact they're having after-school meltdowns and how they themselves might want to try to respond.
That's such a brilliant question.
You're welcome.
When you notice that your children are having those meltdowns, I'm always a big advocate for communicating with your children. So not during the meltdown or the outburst or the time when your child's withdrawing. That's not the time to have the discussion. Perhaps later in the day, before they're going to bed, during school holidays, whatever it might be, you might do it more than once. It might be something that you do before the school term, but regularly talk to your child and say, I notice that after school you don't like to talk or you explode. I'm going to actually give you some space. What will help you? And that's how, we've come up with certain activities in our day, in our home in the afternoons, because they work with the personality of the child. If you have 3 children like me, your afternoons are not going to look identical for all 3 children. Give your children the lead and let them come up with some activities that might work. Tell them, I'm not going to expect you to come straight home and sit down and do more homework, more work the minute you walk in the door. But what will help? And I would prefer if it's not an hour sitting on social media, because that often isn't decompression time. I'm not saying don't give your child time on social media or gaming in the afternoon. We have very strict boundaries around that as well, and that is allowed in our home, but that's not the first thing that they do. But talking with your child, getting them on board with the decision about what they do, gives them ownership, helps them feel empowered and feel like you're not going to be in their face when they come home. When your children then say, look, it takes me about an hour or half an hour, let your child take the lead and they will show you when they're ready to start talking. Some slightly introverted children, they might only talk much later in the evening at dinner or at bedtime. That's also okay.
Yeah, which I'm sure all parents don't necessarily like because it's a bedtime, but it's still your children talking to you, right?
Absolutely. A lot of children do open up more at bedtime than during the day. I think when I've spoken on sleep and the importance of sleep, I've noted that some children, the first time they start talking is late at night. But really it's about you, when they do reconnect, ask about any emotionally intense moments that might have happened in the day. Don't phrase it like that, but you will get an idea of what's happened in their day. And then also have some fun. Laughter releases some of the tensions and some of the tears, but give your teens space to process things. Remember, as adults, we also need space to process things, and so allowing for that in the afternoons after school is important.
Thanks, Collett. I'm sure you helped loads of households out there bring some peace and some calm to after school, but that may not be exactly what you're dealing with at the moment. If you want some help on all kinds of topics, everything from sibling rivalry to having pets in your house to pornography, all of that Collett has discussed in the back catalogue of Raising Teens. You just need to go onto the Hope Media app, look at all the past episodes, and basically you're going to fill up the next couple of days of your life with all these sorts of pearls of wisdom from Collett. Thank you, Collett. We will see you and everybody else next time. Thanks for joining us on Raising Teens.
Hope 1032. Thanks for listening.